Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Friends. This is Joe Cunningham. I am glad to be here with most of you today, despite the fact that everything is awful and nothing else officially matters. Before we get started with today's show, by the way, we have our regular panelists of Bill McMorris of the Washington Free Beacon, Jeff Blehar of the Decision Desk, Neal Doing of the Fifth Estate Podcast, and our guest tonight, CJ Salmonella, because it's closest I'm going to get to getting his name right. CJ Salmonella, the Freedom of Information Act specialist. We will get to why he is necessary for this show a little bit later. But let me set the scene for everybody. Debate night, general election, CNN debate. We return from the commercial break. Wolf Blitzer standing on the stage looking a little bit confused because both of our candidates haven't returned from the bathroom yet. One had a Trump Tower taco salad. The other had a little bit too much of the hot sauce that she's been carrying around in her purse to appeal to the black community. And as a result, they are both locked in the same bathroom together with the most explosive diarrhea a presidential debate has ever offered. Hillary's first. She walks into the bathroom, takes her seat, and has this pained expression on her face as she hears footsteps approaching. Cut scene to Donald Trump opening up a briefcase and setting a gold-plated toilet seat over the public toilet seat that he's walked into. Hillary Clinton looks underneath the stall and sees Donald Trump's shoes, and she gets this horrified expression on her face. That's what we're getting in this general election because on Tuesday night, Donald Trump handily won Indiana. Ted Cruz dropped out of the race, and then John Kasich, surprising everybody, showed that forced institutionalization is still a thing as the authorities have finally stopped his delusional fantasies of being the president, and he has left the race as well. Everybody, this is the end of the world. This could very well be the last Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Friends. It is the only time I'll ever have a monologue prepared for this show, which is fitting, again, if it's the last time. So let's start with what we know. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, not technically yet. He hasn't gotten the 1237, but there's no more competition. However, there is a chance because just today he told voters in West Virginia, don't even bother going to vote in the primary. You want to save your vote for the general election because I bet you guys didn't know we only have one vote a year, and I wasted mine on Marco Rubio. So I'm fucked anyway. I can't be Never Trump, technically, because I can't vote at all. So, Bill, let's start with you, because you are probably the drunkest of the bunch. What are your thoughts about the end of the world?
Well, I guess my big disagreement with you is your assertion that if this is the end times and the BATF will no longer be around, because there's not a fucking chance any one of us gets raptured. Like, our show and our fan base will keep going until, we're sucked down. So, yeah, that's about it. I think we have a lengthy career. I think 10,000 we had 10,000 years of Satan. BATF will be around for at least the first 80. So, stay tuned, everybody.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on the end times that Bill does not believe in?
I am feeling surprisingly little pain. Actually, I'm obviously probably in shock. I'm despondent, truly, the more I think about it. But on the other hand, I'm just so... I'm through the looking glass to the point where I'm just going to find this amusing. It's going to be 6 months of agony, 6 months of the worst of America, 6 months of the worst of politics, everything that I ever thought meant anything in terms of ideology or policy in the Republican Party has been cast to the wayside. It was all an illusion. It was all a lie. That's a profoundly liberating experience, Joe. There's something really liberating about finally realizing you don't have to give a fuck about any of this. You don't have to care about the party. You don't have to care about the policymakers. You certainly don't have to worry about the top of the ticket, because I'll be damned before I cast a vote for Donald Trump. So I can step back and just laugh about it, or at least I would be able to if the vision of a Supreme Court that's stacked 7-2 with liberal justices after Hillary Clinton's first term didn't make me want to cry like a baby in a fetal position in the corner in the bathroom.
And I do want to note that it appears that Jeff has already been raptured because the giant anus that is normally behind him is no longer there, and instead there is a bright white light. Neal!
I had to do this from the conference room of my office today, so that's why.
Neal, you are obviously not the most positive guy on our panel. How do you feel 2 days removed from the biggest game changer in the GOP?
Angry. I'm consumed with rage. I know it probably doesn't show, but there's a volcano of just fury inside me. And it'll boil over one of these days, I'm sure. For now, it's under control. But
who's that? May I interrupt to ask? Who's that fury directed at?
The voters, primarily the voters. Yeah.
Not any particular candidate or party or anything like that. It's just the idiots who did this to us.
Yeah. The problem with voting is that people do it, and so. If the people are the wrong people, then, well, this is what you get. We should really disenfranchise more people.
I've always wondered why the D.C. establishment has always looked down on the voters that keep bringing in conservatives, not more moderate Republicans. And now I fucking understand.
Now you understand.
This is why voters shouldn't be allowed to vote. I think I'm a little more pro-establishment now. Now, speaking,
it's like putting a toddler behind the wheel of a car. I mean, you just sure one day maybe they'll be capable, but they don't know what they're doing yet. You have to train them. They have to be nurtured so that they actually have a conception of what their actions will lead to.
There are a lot of American voters that I would not put behind the wheel of a car, including the Donald Trump supporter in the tow truck today. I don't know if you guys heard this lovely little story. There's a tow truck driver with a Donald Trump sticker on the back of his car, and he gets a call and he goes to see the woman on the side of the road. She has a Bernie Sanders sticker on the back of her car, and he leaves. He doesn't tow her car for her. When the media got to him and asked him why, he said, "I felt like the Lord was speaking to me, and I just stood up. I drew my line in the stand and stood up for my principles." So that's pretty much proof that not only should toddlers not be allowed to drive, but also many American voters should not be allowed to drive.
Can we all just admit now that that very pithy and funny saying that Bill Buckley came up with? When he said, "I'd rather be governed by the first 200 people in the phone book than the Harvard faculty." Kind of a lie. The Harvard faculty, no great shakes, but now we see what happens when you let the first 200 people in the phone book actually do things. This is what happens.
Now, C.J. Saramel is joining us, and he is a Freedom of Information Act expert. He knows how to find all the juicy details. So my first question for you, C.J., is how do you go about finding the government's official reason for having Jeff, Bill, Neal, and I arrested for opposing Donald Trump? How do you dig in and find that information?
Well, I would like to say I'm not an expert. I'm just a big fan. You should never call me an expert because then people actually expect me to know how to do things and email me and ask me how to do things, and I have to answer emails. But I would say we won't have to worry about getting that information because you'll all be put in show trials that are publicly broadcast every day before you're sent to Gulag. So it'll all be out in the open.
The good thing about that information is that Donald Trump is a businessman, which means we get some great pay-per-view time. And I think really, if Bill doesn't drink himself to death tonight, as I mentioned in the emails to the guys earlier, the way the legend of Bill McMorris should die is either through alcohol poisoning on a web show, which by the way, 55 viewers watching right now. A web show where he drinks himself to death, or a Donald Trump pay-per-view special where he's executed by firing squad. Either way, Bill McMorris goes out a hero.
No. You guys will take care of my kids, right? I got another one on the way. You guys got to take care of them.
Only hanging for Bill. Actually, you know what? Electric chair. I want to see Bill jump and dance. I want to see him dance when he goes. That's the best way.
You see him
but then I can't be in a chair then. I just got to be standing up free form. Like that would actually Honestly, that would be pretty cool. I would look like that thing that is in front of auto dealerships, just waving its arms around. See, this is what's good about electing a show business personality. Trump will make executions fun again, and there's something to that.
The Trump show trials are going to be the classiest, most luxurious show trials you have ever seen.
Plus, everyone gets a taco bowl for their last meal. Like, I'll finally be able to eat from the Trump Tower Grill.
Well, I just got to say, I'm looking forward to being judged by Sarah Palin. It'll be done on her new reality TV show where she's like a judge. So I think, why don't we combine the legal system and the next step in our celebutainment political world? I want to have Sarah Palin send me to the gibbet. All right, because I got to say, if I'm going to swing, I want her to be the one who pulls the chain.
The best thing about a Sarah Palin reality show, the last time she had one on TLC, like the intro was like the stereotypical thing. Like every TLC reality show can just be called White People Crossing Their Arms. There's always that shot in the opening title where they turn around and they cross their arms right as they start to face the camera. And it was like so perfect that she did that. And so she crossed her arms really, really well for a reality. I mean, like she is like top notch, ready for more reality TV. Just a little trivia to throw out to you guys. So let's actually talk a little bit about politics, not just how much we all want to die. So Donald Trump's the nominee. He wins handily in Indiana, more than 50% of the vote. Ted Cruz gets 30-something% of the vote. John Kasich got some votes, probably by murdering people and threatening their families.
It was a butterfly ballot. The people were actually intending to vote for Pat Buchanan, but they voted for John Kasich.
God damn it, people. See, again, fucking morons, all of them. So we have now, probably the funniest thing is that the Republican race is decided, but the Democratic race goes on, because Bernie Sanders won Indiana, which keeps him in for at least 3 more primaries. Did anybody in this panel expect the Democratic – I mean, we know that technically the Democratic primary is over. There's no way Sanders gets it. But in terms of like the actual thing that is happening right now, the Democratic primary isn't over and the Republican is. Did any of you guys see that one coming? Bill?
Did I see the inevitable Hillary Clinton – not locking down the nomination before the joke candidacy of Donald Trump? No. I wish I did. I feel like I would get paid a lot of money if I made this guess like June 2015.
Okay, but so, to be fair though,
but Hillary has all but locked it up with the superdelegate process. Right. And what's so funny about that is Donald Trump. I feel like Donald Trump's biggest attack on Ted Cruz was Ted Cruz's own success. I feel like he doesn't break 50% if he doesn't, get this narrative going, and the Drudge Report doesn't, harp on this every day about how Ted Cruz is manipulating the delegates and using them against them. I feel like the only way that we can turn the superdelegate fight into a, corruption thing and further alienate Bernie guys is through a Trump candidacy. Ironically enough, I feel like that actually was an attack that helped Trump and helped helped make Ted Cruz seem like an establishment hack, which is the furthest thing from what he really is. And I feel like Donald Trump is going to try to do the same thing to Hillary Clinton, come general election, where he's going to be talking all the time about how she's an illegitimate candidate and Bernie voters should be. He's already started courting Bernie voters, how Bernie voters should feel totally, taken advantage of by a corrupt system. I feel like that could actually help him in the general.
Jeff, let's go to you. What did you expect? Did you see this particular bit of trivia coming, or were you kind of shocked at the fact that Bernie Sanders might actually pull off a couple more wins before the inevitable is declared?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I didn't see a lot of things coming. I didn't see Donald Trump winning. People have been making fun of, Nate Silver, Ross Douthat, and other pundits, And I had a couple of my own tweets thrown back at me from 2015 where I was like, aha, LOL, you stupid simpletons. Donald Trump isn't going to win a single primary. You don't understand politics. And what kind of an asshole do I look like now? Obviously, we're all eating a lot of crow.
You look like no less of an asshole than you were back then.
It's funny. I'm only slightly more weight, basically the same asshole though. But the thing about the Democratic race is the only reason it's actually carrying on is because nobody cares anymore. Okay, Hillary's voters aren't being mobilized. They're not spending huge amounts of money, burning all of their cash, putting on the afterburners to win it because it's already essentially been decided, as Bill pointed out. So Sanders surprised in Indiana, okay, and he's surprised in Michigan as well. But because of superdelegates, which, by the way, I hope that we will start importing into the Republican Party. I think we need to have a superdelegate system in the Republican Party from now on. But because of them, yeah, the race is over. So Bernie will probably surprise in a few further races. He's not going to win, though, and we all know it. The only thing that really matters is that he probably is going to be, in fact, I think he's already succeeded in dragging Hillary to the left. That would have been a very bad thing in a general election in any other universe where Donald Trump wasn't the nominee. In this case, it ain't going to matter one goddamn bit. So the real thing that's probably worth focusing on is that, it wasn't that we were wrong about Bernie, it's that we were wrong about Trump. And the thing that kind of worries me is this is something that Molly Hemingway is a friend of ours at the Federalist, just published an article today saying, like, listen, Trump's still not going to win, but he may end up doing better than you're going to think, and there are going to be a lot of reasons for that. So everyone expecting it to go into an immediate and permanent swoon where it's like, oh, Hillary 60, Trump 40, no drama, be prepared to be disappointed. I think at this point we have to just sort of accept the fact that all of our expectations have been flummoxed here. I just don't want him to win.
Unless, oh man, Trump will do it. When Trump can't get any Republican to accept his nomination for vice president, like Chris Christie's just sitting there going like, Donald, is it my turn yet? And Donald's like, shut the fuck up, man. I'm going for Steve King right now. Take it easy, all right? And everybody keeps turning him down. Trump is just
get on the plane and go home.
Yeah, exactly. Trump is just going to turn around. He's going to go through his Rolodex, and then he's going to find out that his savior isn't in the Rolodex. Then he's going to go on White Pages, and he's going to find him, and he's going to call Bernie Sanders, and it'll be Trump Sanders. Two anti-trade, anti-immigrant guys, popular with the college kids. They'll be unstoppable. They'll fucking roll into November.
I mean, talk about a unity ticket. I mean, for America, Trump and Sanders.
Can you imagine?
CJ looks skeptical.
CJ, you seem like you don't believe this magical fairy tale that we've laid out for you. This is our welcome to you, and you don't seem to be accepting it. Why is it?
Listen, I'm just saying, Newt Gingrich is practically on his knees begging for the VP slot.
I wouldn't call that begging.
Well,
Newt Gingrich has done Newt has done everything except tie a cherry stem into a knot with his tongue. All right, begging Trump to be like, oh, listen, I can do magical things for you, Donald. Just give me the chance. Let me love you.
Let me interrupt here. Have you guys ever seen like little baby piglets fighting over like a sow's tit? Like that's
No, we haven't.
Yeah, that's all I watch on YouTube.
That's what Hannity and Gingrich look like, but it's not a mother sow's tit. It is definitely a short, stubbly little dong belonging to the orange maniac that is now our nominee. Anyway, CJ, continue.
With the whether I was surprised.
First of all, you seem skeptical of the idea of a Trump-Sanders unity ticket.
I think they share a few key differences. I have to say, I was really delighted when I heard Bernie Sanders say that open borders were a Koch brothers conspiracy. The plot to advance open borders was a Koch brothers plot. That was fantastic. I think they do share a lot of populist tendencies, but I don't see Trump picking up the phone and asking Bernie to be VP.
Now, this comes from the fact that
No, he's a new media maven. He doesn't pick up the phone, he tweets them. Like, Bernie, you in? Like, day of the convention. And be like, hold up, there's a helicopter waiting for you.
no, what's even better is if it's like some big, like, because, again, Donald Trump is a noted WWE Hall of Famer. He pulls it off like a big WWE reveal where Donald Trump says, and allow me to present to you my vice presidential candidate. And then Bernie Sanders' music hits, and he walks out on the stage, and the crowd just goes fucking nuts, either from like being excited or like killing each other, whichever one maybe a mix of both. Actually, probably a mix of both. But CJ, honestly, to be slightly more serious, because we dropped to 59 viewers instead of 60, are you surprised that the Democratic primary is still, kind of being contested, although not really right now?
No, I mean, I always thought that the Democrats or the Democratic Party tried to portray Hillary Clinton as a lot stronger than she really was as a candidate, and they portrayed her as inevitable and pushed out a lot of other strong Democratic candidates because they told them that Hillary's unstoppable. She's a steamroller. It's going to be Hillary. And so they pushed out all these other viable candidates, and then Bernie Sanders came along, and everyone thought he was going to be a joke, and he ended up running an actual campaign and being competitive. He's going to lose, but he ran a pretty respectable campaign against Hillary Clinton, who was supposed to be...
extremely respectable campaign, actually.
Yeah, against a candidate who was supposed to be unstoppable. And it showed a lot of the problems within the Democratic base and the Democratic Party's outreach to that base. Against Trump, I don't think that will ultimately hurt her a lot, just because of the sort of coalition that will come together just based on Trump's massive unfavorables with various groups. But it did show that the Democratic Party was not responding to a significant section of the base.
In a world where Trump didn't exist, the story of this entire cycle thus far actually would be the incredible tenacity of Bernie Sanders' campaign. And it's kind of sad. It's not that sad, but he's not getting the credit that he deserves. People are saying, like, oh, well, what a terrible campaign he's running because he didn't beat Hillary Clinton. He wasn't supposed to come close. This was not supposed to be a race. It's going to end up where she's going to probably end up with, like, 55% of the delegates, 56% of the actual voted delegates to his 44. That's amazing. This man was a Vermont socialist, and he's run an incredibly tough race against her. It's not going to matter, but it probably deserves more attention than it's getting.
I mean, he's volunteer. He's got his volunteer organization, his small donors, and he did all that without a lot of the support of the major Democratic institution. It was, I would like to go back and read takes from when Bernie Sanders first got in the race. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. I want to go back and read takes when Bernie Sanders first entered and see what sort of stuff people were saying about him, because I guarantee it wasn't that, he's gonna actually push Hillary Clinton to the end of the nomination.
I think people were saying that Martin O'Malley was the serious non-Hillary candidate, and look at how that turned out, right?
How stupid does Joe Biden feel at this point, though?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Oh, man. That's the thing. Like, maybe Trump just, like, he obviously, after the West Virginia tweet, doesn't comprehend how politics works. Maybe Trump is sitting there, like, thinking that the vice president is, like, the designated hitter in the AL, and is just like, well, I guess it's Joe Biden. I like him enough. He's a fun guy. Drinks a bit too much for my teetotaling tastes.
Hey, you know what? Are there any, like, I should know this because I'm an attorney and I've done con law, but are there any constitutional restrictions on vice presidency? Can you be vice president for
4 terms? Yeah, let's do it.
Just go with it, because he seemed to work.
Yeah, no, as long as you change, like, the title of vice president to first runner-up, you can go on in perpetuity. Neal, it looks like we lost Joe.
Joe?
We lost Joe, but thankfully his spirit lives on because apparently we're still alive, so we're going to keep going.
Yeah, so Neal, CJ would like to ask you a question.
What?
No.
CJ, you're the guest. Oh, no, it's in the BATF bylaws. The guest automatically assumes host status. once the host is cut off. So CJ, ask
The
Neal a
alternative is
question.
Bill taking on the host status,
Okay,
which
no,
You don't want that. I'm drinking.
Bill is
I'm
already
drinking 12 beers this hour. It's gonna be awesome.
Bill is 240s deep into the show here, so I'm gonna ask a question, and I'm gonna start with CJ because it would be too easy to start with Neal. The last person standing, other than John Kasich, who of course dropped out 30 seconds after Ted Cruz, the last person standing was Ted Cruz. What is your opinion on the race Ted Cruz ran, and do you think that there was ever really any chance for him to win? Do you feel any particular shame or any pity for him? Do you think he would have been a better standard bearer than Trump? I know you seem like a big true Cruz kind of a guy. So
Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge conservative Tea Party kind of guy.
yeah, super Tea Party.
I think
like most people from Oregon.
it's Oregon. Well, I mean, if you got into Eastern Oregon, all bets are off. But I don't know. It's hard to say just because of how weird Trump made everything. Like saying what do you think anyone's chances would be if Trump wasn't in the race? It's like, you guys ever read the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, the science, it's like all these scientists who try and predict the future, and they get it right, except then this guy comes in who totally messes everything up. He fucks all their calculations up and ruins it for hundreds of years. That's what Trump's done to politics this election. It's almost impossible to say how anyone would have done if Trump wasn't there.
First of all, you're a huge nerd, and second of all, I've read the Foundation series, all of them too.
Nerd.
So, yeah. Well, no, you're a bigger nerd because you're the one who brought the reference up in the first place. But Mike, and maybe I'm asking this because I wrote on it earlier this week. Why do you think the Republican establishment, not that it may have made any difference, why on earth did they decide, looking between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, one of these people represents almost certain doom in November? The other one represents, if you want to be pessimistic, at least sort of a respectable loss. Why did they say fuck it and say, I like Donald Trump more than Ted Cruz? What does that even mean for the state of the party?
Wait, me? Sorry.
You're on the spot, dude, because I know what Neal will say.
I mean, it's dude. I can't even. It's all I have are the deepest sighs, because I really don't have words. It's just I can't even believe that this. I mean, Ted Cruz was the guy on paper that all of these conservatives should have gone for, and yet there's Donald Trump, and I think he just said these things that were yeah, Donald Trump's saying the shit I always wanted to say. He's sticking it to the man. And somehow Ted Cruz became the man, and I still have never managed to wrap my head around this.
Okay, but I know
That was maybe the worst answer ever.
Yeah, whatever, man. You look as frazzled and shell-shocked as the rest of us. I want to turn this over to Neal because Neal told me that he didn't want to bring this up, but I insist that he do. A year and a half ago, Neal wrote the most prescient article I've ever seen, which is Ted Cruz, Queen of Summertime. He said that, listen, the reason that Ted Cruz is not a likable guy, and I don't really like him, is he strikes me as Martin Prince from the